Does this sound familiar to anyone? You're head over heels for someone, then they do this one, tiny thing, and suddenly you're completely disgusted, like physically repulsed by the same person you were just fantasizing about yesterday. What is this all about? What's up, everyone? I'm Peter Wins. Today we're going to talk about something called the ick. Maybe you've heard of it, maybe not, but we're going to explain it in this video. The ick is one of the most misunderstood phenomenon in dating. Instant disgust for someone you were obsessed with yesterday. If you've ever gone from planning your future together to Googling how to ghost someone nicely because of just this one thing they did, this video explains what your brain is actually doing because it's not random and you're not shallow. So where did this whole ick phrase come from anyways? Well, I'll tell you. The whole ick thing exploded on TikTok around 2020 when users started making videos sharing their most ridiculous attraction-killing moments. It became this big viral trend where people would dramatically tell stories like he ran to catch the bus and his backpack bounced, or she said chalky milk instead of chocolate milk, just like stupid things. And suddenly everyone realized they had all these absurdly specific moments of instant disgust. The algorithm loved it because viewers were flooding the comments with their own ick stories, and before you know it, millions of people had a name for something they thought was just their personal little quirk, and that was the ick. Let me paint this picture. You're texting all day, you're planning future trips together, you're telling your friends about this amazing person, then you see them do jazz hands while they're telling a story, and suddenly you never want to see them again. It's not gradual. One moment you're attracted, the next moment you're physically repulsed. Everything that was cute becomes annoying. Their voice sounds different. Their laugh makes you cringe. I had a friend who was obsessed with this guy for months. Great chemistry, amazing dates. She was falling hard. Then she watched him mouth the words to background music in a restaurant, and it was over. She said she couldn't unsee it, and the magic was completely gone just from this little stupid random thing. It was over. Comment your most ridiculous ick moment below. We're all guilty here. I want to see some comments on this, by the way. The confusion is real. How can feelings flip that fast? Were you delusional before? Are you broken now? Like what's up with this? But there's actually science behind this madness. The ick isn't random. It's your subconsciousness finally speaking up, and it might be evolution trying to save your bloodline. Dr. Helen Fisher's research shows that disgust and attraction use the same neural pathways. While you're subconsciously focused on how cute they are, your brain is quietly collecting data, micro-expressions, energy patterns, behavioral inconsistencies, all going in that behind the scenes area of your head. When enough red flags pile up in your subconsciousness, it hits the panic button. But since you haven't consciously processed the warning signs, the message comes through a sudden, inexplicable disgust. The trigger seems stupid because it's not the real problem, it's just the final straw. They used a baby voice once and you're done? No, the baby voice pushed accumulated weirdness over the edge. But here's what nobody tells you. The ick might be your ancient brain protecting you from genetic disasters. Behaviors that signal weakness, instability, or poor mate quality trigger disgust responses that kept our ancestors alive. Early dating runs on projection, and the ick is reality violently breaking through your delusions. When you first meet someone, you fill in the blanks with fantasy. You project ideal qualities onto them because you don't actually know them yet. The less you know, the more perfect they can be in your imagination. But reality keeps leaking in. How they treat waiters, their actual sense of humor, the way they handle stress, small moments that don't match your projection. I remember being super into this girl until I saw her apartment. It wasn't messy, but it was like a sterile hotel room. No books, no personality, no signs of human interest. The fantasy of this complex, interesting person crashed into the reality of someone really bland. I want you to pause and think of someone you idealized who turned out to be completely different. The bigger your fantasy, the harder the fall. You're not disgusted by them, you're disgusted by the gap between who you imagined and who they actually are. Plot twist, folks. Dating apps trained us to be disgusted by normal human behavior, and we're literally icking ourselves out of love. We're comparing real humans to curated profiles and filtered photos. Someone chews loudly, swipe left in your mind. They walk a little weird, next. You laugh a little loud, unmatch. We've developed hair trigger ick responses because replacement is always one swipe away. Why tolerate imperfection when infinite options exist? Except those options are also imperfect humans pretending to be perfect. Your ick might be classism in disguise. Are you rejecting people for being awkward or not unattractive? For showing enthusiasm instead of, just playing it cool? For being human instead of performing perfect? The cruelest irony, the people who never get icks are usually in the worst relationships. They ignore red flags that should trigger disgust and stay with genuinely problematic partners. Sometimes the ick isn't about them, it's about your terror of getting close. I've noticed people who struggle with intimacy get the ick right when things are about to get serious, baby. Like their brain, it manufactures disgust to create distance before vulnerability becomes required. Other people get the ick when someone shows independence or emotional stability. If they're used to chaotic relationships, someone healthy might trigger your something's wrong alarm in your mind. A 2023 study of 10,000 couples found that ick timing predicts relationship success better than compatibility tests. People who ick out during the honeymoon phase, usually avoidant. People who ick out when partners pull back, usually anxious. Quick self-check here, folks. When do your icks usually hit? Right when things get serious, when they show interest, when they don't text back fast enough. The timing reveals whether it's about them or your own patterns, so let me know. All right, let's talk about something you've probably noticed. Women seem to get the ick way more than men, and before all the guys start feeling smug about being less picky, let's hold up for a sec. Here's the thing, men get disgusted by dating behavior just as much as women do. They just don't call it the ick. That's the woman's term. Guys will say stuff like, I lost interest, or, something felt a little off, or the vibe changed. It's the same exact phenomenon, just, different vocabulary. Maybe not as brutally honest, but why do women talk about it more? There's a few theories. Some researchers think women evolved to be more sensitive to potential partner flaws because historically, choosing wrong had bigger consequences. Others will say, it's social conditioning. Girls are taught to pay attention to emotional and behavioral details that boys learn to ignore. And it's true, girls are more observant of those things. They're better at it. But to be completely honest, I think it's actually simpler than that. In today's dating world, women often have more options, especially on the apps. Everyone knows that. It's a little ridiculous. When you've got 50 guys in your DMs, you can afford to be grossed out by jazz hands. When you're lucky to get 3 matches, like most guys are, you might overlook that, okay, whatever. I'm not getting many matches here. We got to make do with what we got, okay? That's how the guys are thinking. Plot twist, though. Maybe guys should develop better ick instincts ourselves. Being too tolerant of red flags isn't romantic. It's how you end up staying way too long with people who just aren't right for you. Not all icks are created equal. Some are shallow perfectionism, some are genius level intuition. Shallow icks are about impossible standards. They sneezed weird, they walked a little funny, they used the wrong emoji. These reveal your unrealistic expectations, not their problems. If normal human behavior disgusts you, that's a you issue, buddy or girl. But deep icks are a little different. When someone shows controlling behavior, manipulates situations, or crosses boundaries, even subtly, your gut reaction might save you from months of psychological damage from this crazy person. Unpopular opinion. Most icks are just you being an entitled perfectionist who expects partners to perform humanity flawlessly. You want the benefits of human connection without tolerating actual human qualities. That's the damn truth, in my opinion. But sometimes your ick is picking up on patterns your conscious mind missed. Subtle manipulation tactics, emotional unavailability, character flaws disguised as quirks. The trick is telling the difference. Does the ick come from them being imperfect or them being problematic? When the ick hits, don't immediately ghost. Your response reveals everything about your relationship patterns. First, figure out what your type is. Is this about them failing to be perfect or about genuine incompatibility? Are you scared of getting close, or are they actually wrong for you? Apply the relevance test. Will this matter in 5 years? They eat bananas a little weird. In 5 years, it probably won't matter that much. But if they're dismissive when you're upset, that's definitely a yes. If it's shallow, work on accepting that humans are messy before dating anyone. You're not ready for a relationship if normal behavior disgusts you. If it's deep, trust that feeling, but investigate it. What exactly triggered that disgust? What pattern did your subconscious recognize? Don't just feel icked out. Try and understand why this happened. Here's what's really wild. Your ick response changes based on your menstrual cycle, your stress levels, and your attachment security. The same behavior might disgust you Tuesday, but seem a little cute by Friday. The ick epidemic is destroying modern dating, and we're all complicit in this. We're teaching each other that love means never feeling grossed out by your partner, that healthy relationships require constant attraction without valleys, that disgust equals incompatibility. But disgust is information, not instruction. It tells you something changed, your perception, their behavior, or the dynamic between you. The goal isn't eliminating icks, but understanding their messages. Every day you don't understand your ick patterns, you're making the same dating mistakes, rejecting good people for shallow reasons, ignoring red flags because you're afraid of being picky, missing the difference between standards and perfectionism. Real talk, folks. The most successful relationships I know involve people working through that initial ick or icks, not avoiding them. They work through it. They use the disgust as data, but not as deal breakers. You see the difference? All right, guys, to conclude about the ick. The ick feels random, but it's your brain processing threats faster than you can think. Drop a comment. What's the most ridiculous reason you lost attraction to someone? Looking back, was your gut protecting you, or were you just being impossible? Subscribe for more uncomfortable truths about modern dating psychology. Again, I'm Peter Wins. Your ick might be saving you from the wrong person or revealing work you need to do on yourself. Either way, it's worth understanding instead of just feeling guilty about it. I'm Peter Wins. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.